Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the science of parenting. We're going to explore why research says the first 5 years of a child's life are this incredible window of both opportunity and vulnerability, with effects that can echo for a lifetime. Let's get right into it.
So let me start with a big question for you. What do you think is the single most important job in the world? I mean, you could probably think of a few good answers, right? But there's a massive body of scientific research out there that points to one job that might just top them all.
And that job is parenting. You might be thinking, really? More important than… Well, here's why. The quality of parenting in early childhood is one of the most powerful predictors we have for a child's well-being and success, not just right now, but across their entire life.
Okay, Section 1. Why do these early years matter so much? Because this period isn't just another stage of growth, it is a critical window where the very foundation of a person is built.
I mean, just think about the sheer speed of change in these first 5 years. It is absolutely staggering. A child goes from being a tiny, completely dependent baby to walking and feeling anxious about strangers, to the terrible twos, which is really about their budding independence, all the way to this explosion of language and logic. Their brains are literally on fire, forging the connections for everything that comes next.
So let's move to Section 2, the power of sensitivity. With everything happening so fast, what's the one thing that matters most from a parent? Well, decades of research all point to one core concept: parental sensitivity.
So, what exactly is parental sensitivity? Well, it's not about being a perfect parent. Not at all. It's about being a responsive one. It's this three-part skill. First, you notice your child's signals. Second, you figure out what they actually mean. And third, you respond in a way that's quick and right for that need.
Let's make this super clear. You see, a sensitive parent hears a cry and sees it as a signal, a need for comfort or food, and they respond with warmth. An insensitive response, on the other hand, might be to ignore that cry or get annoyed or maybe even react harshly, and it's that consistent pattern of response that ends up building a child's fundamental understanding of the world.
This sensitive back and forth creates this powerful feedback loop. The baby has a need, they cry. The parent responds with care. When this happens over and over and over, the child's brain builds what researchers call a working model. And that model teaches them two profound things: I am worthy of love, and the world is a safe place to be.
Now, this consistent care builds what's known as a secure attachment. But different parenting patterns lead to different outcomes. When parents are consistently dismissive or rejecting, a child can develop an avoidant style. If they're unpredictable, sometimes warm, sometimes not, a resistant style can form. And when parenting is genuinely frightening or bizarre, it can lead to what's called disorganized attachment, which carries the absolute highest risk for problems down the road.
And why should we care so much about this? Because the payoff for a secure attachment is just massive. We're talking about kids who are better at handling their big feelings, who have fewer behavior problems, who are better with their friends, and who are just more resilient when life gets stressful. This early foundation is a huge predictor of success, both socially and academically, for years and years to come.
Okay, Section 3, the building blocks of parenting. Because of course, while sensitivity is the cornerstone, it's not the whole house. There are other really important parts to this whole parenting thing.
So beyond just responding to needs, parenting is also about actively stimulating a child's mind, talking to them, reading books. It's about socializing them, teaching them about feelings and rules, and it's about providing gentle guidance and setting limits. But on the far negative end of that spectrum, you have the most extreme form, maltreatment.
And please know, this is not a small issue. In the United States alone, nearly 700,000 children are confirmed victims of maltreatment every single year. And the most heartbreaking part, over a quarter of them are under the age of 3.
This brings us to the really complex topic of discipline. One enormous analysis, it looked at dozens of studies covering over 160,000 children, came to a very clear conclusion. Spanking doesn't lead to better behaved kids. In fact, it's linked with the opposite: more aggression and more defiance down the line.
But you might be wondering, is that true everywhere in every culture? Well, the research here gets a bit more complicated. Some studies suggest that in cultures where physical discipline is more normal and it's delivered with a lot of warmth, that negative link is a bit weaker. But other researchers argue that the negative outcomes are universal, because a young child's brain just can't process a harsh act as being a loving one.
All right, that leads us right into Section 4. What shapes a parent? Because here's the thing, parenting doesn't just happen in a bubble.
A parent's ability to be that sensitive, responsive person is deeply, deeply influenced by their own world.
You have to picture a whole constellation of factors that are all swirling around and shaping how a person parents. It's never about just one thing, a single decision. It is about the entire context of that parent's life.
So what are these factors? Well, it's a mix of their past and their present. How they were raised themselves matters a lot, as do their personal beliefs. But so do all these external stressors, things like poverty, trauma, or experiencing discrimination. And so critically, a parent's own mental health, like depression or anxiety, can make it incredibly hard to find the energy to be consistently responsive.
There is this incredibly powerful idea from the research called ghosts in the nursery. It's this metaphor for how a parent's own unresolved pain from their childhood can sort of unconsciously show up in the nursery, shaping how they interact with their own baby. It's a powerful way to understand how these negative patterns can get passed down from one generation to the next.
So that brings us to our final section, supporting parents, supporting children. If parenting is this critical and also this complicated, what in the world can we do? Well, the science doesn't just point out the problems, it also points toward the solutions.
The research points to a really clear three-step system of support. Step 1, we start with universal screening for risks. Think about screening every new mom for depression during regular baby checkups at the pediatrician. Step 2 is getting families who need help connected to programs that we know actually work. And then step 3 is the intervention itself, which is all about strengthening that vital bond between the parent and the child.
And the best part is, we have these programs. They're proven to make a real difference. There are big federal initiatives that send nurses to visit new parents at home. There are specialized therapies to help families heal from trauma. There are even programs that use a tiny bug-in-the-ear earpiece to coach parents in real time right in the middle of an interaction.
But, and this is a huge but, here's the challenge. Even with all these proven solutions, there is a massive gap between the number of families who need help and the number who actually get it. Right now, only a tiny slice of families who could benefit from this support are actually being served.
So, this is where we land. The science is crystal clear. Sensitive, responsive parenting in those first 5 years builds the foundation for a healthy, successful life. But we also know that parents are under immense pressure, shaped by stress and influenced by their own pasts. So the real question isn't just, what can parents do? It's, if this job is so critical, how can we all help build a stronger, more supportive foundation for it?